Hey MGTOWs, this is Vention. Just hanging out at the wildlife refuge again. There's all the elk hanging out over there. Good times. Well, as far as news goes, I don't have any. Due to a big snafu on the freeway, I didn't get my IV yesterday, so wasn't there to get the results from my CEA test, assuming that they were even available. So I'll just have to wait till tomorrow to get them. I'm kind of holding my breath in my life. It's like, what's going on? It's like okay, it's all said and done. I just don't know what the result is yet. And it's the labor of like 5 months or maybe 6 of taking the supplements, peeling the weight off, watching my nutrition, that sort of thing. Now I get to see if it pays off. Well, it's already paid off, honestly. I've lost 73 pounds. That's quite a payoff, actually. Yeah, good times. So, the plan is, if I do well on my CEA test and it's getting better, then I'll continue doing what I'm doing. Failing that, I'll take off to Mexico for low-dose chemo. That's the plan. The stakes are very high. Had kind of an amusing event occur today. Went to the marijuana shop for my supply of Rick Simpson oil. And the hot little 25-year-old was flirting with me. I consider that a compliment, but she also was aware that I've retired and that and that I have cancer. So, is she just very friendly, or is she a vulture? So, let's have a poll. Type 1, or better yet, just type vulture if she's a vulture, or 1 if I should marry her and have a family with no prenup. Okay, good times. But back to the main reason why I made this video. I was just reading a little pop psychology, and I'm sort of a cross between, like pop psychology and sort of the weird spiritual guru type, And it's like, I'm kind of, let me see if I can narrow this thought down. Okay, you're going through your life normally, happy as can be, and something goes wrong, like a machine doesn't work, and you're just at the end of your rope, and you find yourself wanting to hurt the machine and throw it or whatever, throw it away, smash it. It's like, what's happening there, that sudden red hot rage, I've felt it before, I'm sure you guys have. But the thing is, what is that? You're going along normal as can be, and then suddenly you can be surprised by the level of your own emotion, or at least that's been my experience. So anyway, hold on. Okay, so you're going along normal as can be, and then suddenly something goes a little bit wrong, but your anger seems to be more than the situation calls for. And if that's the case, that could be considered what they call being triggered. as all the SJW types always say. So, so what's happening when that occurs, right? And in my opinion, basically we have pieces of ourselves, right? That we're not, I'm of the opinion that we're not one creature being as much as we tend to think. You know, I'm a singular person. A lot of people seem, or a lot of philosophy types tend to think that they are multiple people or multiple beings that are all sort of fighting for control, like an entire town, or maybe not quite that dramatically, but maybe a large family standing on two legs by yourself. So it's like, and the same thing can occur in families, and you basically run into a situation where your brother is like demonstrating some kind of negative behavior, and your parents don't like that. And in order to gain closeness with the parent, your tattling sister will criticize you in front of your parents or to your parents, right? So anyway, and that's an attempt to throw you under the bus and gain closeness with the parent. And but some situations that's it gets even more complicated, because if you have aspects of your personality that your parent doesn't like, you could be in a situation where you criticize yourself or your own less desirable behavior. You criticize that to the parent, and you're attempting to disown that aspect of yourself. So if you're doing that, what could happen is you have a quirky side that likes something like I don't know, some kind of weird music or something, and the parents don't like it, so you cut off that side of yourself. Same thing occurs if you're like, you want to demonstrate some kind of behavioral that isn't completely macho, meaning you want to hug a puppy, as as Bill Burr says, or if you want to carve a pumpkin, or do something that isn't absolutely totally macho, and then somebody could laugh at you for that, and and the result is you disown that aspect of yourself. You say, okay, no problem, I won't be that way anymore. So throughout your entire life, you're cranking along, and then people say that you basically you shouldn't do this or whatever, you shouldn't display this behavior. And so you're constantly, throughout your life, you're amputating pieces of yourself. And what's happening is, when you disown that aspect of yourself, a lot of these psychology types say that you're just pushing it into your subconscious, but it's still there, right? And if you are running into a situation where it's applicable, to that personality or that part of your personality, even if it's buried, it could come up out of the grave that you tried to bury it in and try to take over. So you could find yourself suddenly displaying or feeling a lot of anger, or having other kinds of aberrant personality traits, like this weird urge to go, I don't know, go on a trip or do some crazy shit like base jumping or something. That could be a part of your personality that you buried trying to come up and take over. So, but those pieces of your personality are still you. So how cruel is it of yourself to keep that buried? How much better would it be if you tried to explore and figure out what it is, all the pieces of yourself that you've buried throughout your life, and if you could bring them back and tack them on and hook them back up, you could be, conceivably, in theory, you could be a bigger, better, more complete person. And if that's the case, you have more energy to do the things you want, more motivation. And plus, all these aspects of ourselves want to connect to other people as well as ourselves and become part of the world and integrate. That's what they call it. These spiritual types, they call it being integrated. If you can take all those buried pieces of yourself and stick it back on and see if you can put them to use. All of that functionality, all of that functionality is supposed to be available to us, and yet here we're throwing it all away. So I'm of the opinion, and I'm going to apply some mental effort to see if there's some pieces of myself that have been buried, that I've forgotten, that might need to be pulled back into the real world, or the world as it is, because I might be able to find some use for those. Because those pieces of yourself, they provide a lot of drive, and a lot of incentive and enthusiasm. Those pieces of yourself, and if you bury them, you become slower, you become less enthusiastic, and you're not as involved with the world, and you could conceivably be more willing to let the world go completely and off yourself. If you've buried every aspect of yourself and the only thing you are left is, after all of the amputations of your soul, and all you've got is this boring little core that has been just utterly defeated by life, maybe it's time to find some of those old pieces and start putting them back together again. And don't get married.